Before starting this video, I do want to give a thank you to my patrons that support the channel. And if you would like to support the channel, there are some great benefits for you in the link down below. So with that, let's get into today's video. Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Devin coming back at you with another video today on PubStomp MTG. So today we're going to be looking at Sarkhan Soul Aflame from the new March of the Machine Aftermath set. So at first glance, I wasn't really too honestly impressed with this card. I felt like that way with a lot of different March of the Machine Aftermath cards that came out, mainly because it is a 50 card set. We do also have a host of other dragon commanders, and this is not even a dragon himself, so what's the big deal about Sarkhan Soul Aflame? From a lore perspective, Sarkhan is actually one of my favorite characters in Magic the Gathering when it comes to lore. So again, I thought, I might as well give him a shot because again, he's one of my favorite characters. And honestly, he's actually pretty powerful. He has great abilities. Dragon spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Whenever a dragon enters the battlefield under your control, you may have Sarkhan Soul Aflame become a copy of it until end of turn. Except its name is Sarkhan Soul Aflame and it's legendary in addition to its other types. So again, when I got to brewing around this guy, the main thing I liked about him is the fact that he reduces the cost of our dragons, and on top of that, it kind of gives him pseudo haste in a way where Sarkhan becomes a clone of that dragon that came onto the battlefield, so you can swing away with that. I do wish he was Teamer colors because we could add Old Gnawbone to the deck, and if you don't know what Old Gnawbone does, he's absolutely ridiculous, making an absurd amount of treasures. We'll just double that with Sarkhan if we did have that in the deck. But of course, we do have to state the obvious. It is going to be a Dragon Tribal deck. Wow, it's a shocker. Surprise, surprise. But we do have a lot of good options in Izzet colors. And honestly, Izzet is a pretty cool combination when you have Dragon Tribal. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing some of the Dragon synergies you want to have in the deck. And of course, dragons. I mean, again, it's a pretty simple deck. It's pretty straightforward overall. Of course, we do have to add in the Planeswalker versions of Sarkhan, mainly to fit on theme with him. So we do have Sarkhan the Masterless and Sarkhan Fireblood. Something that I noticed with Sarkhan the Masterless is a lot of opponents do get caught off guard with that static ability. Whenever a creature attacks you or a Planeswalker you control, each dragon you control deals 1 damage to that creature. So if you have a dragon out and your opponent's swinging with a bunch of 1/1s towards Sarkhan or you, just say bye-bye with Sarkhan's ability. He does also make each Planeswalker turn into a 4/4 red dragon, which is pretty cool, and he also makes a body with a 4/4 red dragon with flying as well. I do have to give the edge to Sarkhan Fireblood though. He has great abilities. You may discard a card if you do draw a card. He can add 2 mana to cast a dragon, and he does have an ultimate of making 4 5/5 red dragon creature tokens with flying. So again, not too shabby. However, I do wish, again, Sarkhan was Teamer colors so that we could add in Sarkhan a Broken. This was the first Planeswalker I ever pulled in a Magic the Gathering pack. I was very new to Magic and never knew what a Planeswalker even meant, so I honestly just kind of threw it to the side for a while. Man, those were the days. Come on, Wizards. We need to go back to Tarkir, please. That was an awesome plane. Anyways, enough side ranting. I do also want to talk about some great utility cards in the deck. Cards that give us great advantage, and on top of that, provide that great way so that we can get dragons on the battlefield. So the first one I did think about, of course, was Sarkhan's Triumph. It's basically a dragon tutor for 3 mana. So if you do have that dragon in your deck that you definitely want to pull out so that you could win the game on the spot, this is a great way of doing that. Plus, it's at instant speed too. I did also want to bring to your attention Dragon Tempest. This is a classic all-star in any dragon deck. Whenever a creature with flying enters the battlefield under your control, it gains haste until end of turn. Whenever a dragon enters the battlefield under your control, it deals X damage to a target creature or a player where X is the number of dragons you control. So of course, giving our creatures haste is absolutely perfect, and on top of that, if there's some other pesky creatures on the board, or if we want to deal damage to our opponent's face, we could do that with this card, especially for being a 2 mana enchantment. Speaking of enchantments, we do also have Sneak Attack. You can put a big dragon on the battlefield. It will get sacrificed at the beginning of the next end step, but that's completely okay because Sarkhan will actually copy that dragon, so you'll get 2 effects off of him. Also, I did want to bring to your attention Invasion of Tarkir, or on the backside, Defiant Thundermaw. So when Invasion of Tarkir enters the battlefield, reveal any number of dragons from your hand. When you do, Invasion of Tarkir deals X damage plus 2 damage to any other target, where X is the number of cards revealed this way. Just for 2 mana, say for example you have 5 dragons on the battlefield, you get to deal 7 damage to any target on the battlefield. The backside is absolutely incredible as well. Defiant Thundermaw also has that ability whenever a dragon dragon you control attacks, it deals 2 damage to any target. That could be game ending in some situations. I did also want to provide some card draw. Kindred Discovery, though it's 5 mana, will provide us a lot of card draw whenever a creature you control of the chosen type enters the battlefield or attacks, you draw a card. Of course our chosen type is going to be dragons. Just to warn you about this card, it doesn't have a May ability where you could draw a card or not. You can't choose necessarily if a dragon enters the battlefield, you have to draw that card. So I've seen some situations where people mill themselves out completely to lose the game off of this, so just a forewarning. I did also want to bring to your attention some of the best dragons to add into the deck. These are the best of the best, and honestly some that might make the most impact in your games, and that could be potential game enders. So with the first one, I'm kind of cheating. It's not a dragon. We do have Dragon Master Outcast. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 6 or more lands, create a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying. So if you do notice with Sarkhan's ability, it does not matter what kind of dragon enters the battlefield, non-token, token, it doesn't matter. Any kind of dragon will fulfill that need. So if you do have 6 or more lands, every upkeep you can make Sarkhan turn into a 5/5 dragon creature. In a similar sense, we do have Skyline Despot. So with this card, we do become the Monarch. We do get a draw card at the beginning of our end step, and on top of that, at the beginning of your upkeep, if you're the Monarch, you create a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying. So again, very similar to Dragon Speaker Outcast, where we're making 5/5 red dragon creature tokens with flying. Plus, most likely, we'll have the biggest creatures on the battlefield, so we'll be able to protect that Monarch for as long as we can, so that we can get some card advantage. Dragons also love their treasure, especially Goldspan Dragon. Whenever it attacks or becomes a target of a spell, you create a treasure token, and treasures tap for 2 mana instead of just 1 mana. So when we do cast Goldspan Dragon, we'll also make a second copy of him, basically with Sarkhan on the battlefield. We'll swing in, make 2 treasure tokens that tap for 4 mana. So this could ramp us further to cast bigger dragons. We could also steal our opponent's artifacts with Hellkite Tyrant. It does have flying and trample. When it deals combat damage to a player, gain control of all artifacts that player controls, and it also is a win con if you control 20 or more artifacts. If we do have a haste enabler on the battlefield, we could swing 2 different directions with our Sarkhan copy and Hellkite Tyrant. Then we could get a whole lot of artifacts on our side of the field. But with this next pick, I would probably consider the best dragon in the deck with Udvara Hellkite. Whenever a dragon you control attacks, create a 6/6 red dragon creature token with flying. So Udvara Hellkite can trigger this, but Sarkhan could trigger it as well. So say for example you had Sarkhan on the battlefield and you casted Udvara Hellkite to enter the battlefield, Sarkhan will become a copy of Udvara Hellkite. Let's also say, including Sarkhan becoming a Udvara Hellkite, you have 4 other dragons on the battlefield. You go ahead and you swing in, and instead of getting 5/6/6 red dragon creature tokens based off of that attack trigger with Udvara Hellkite, you'll get 10 because you have 2 Udvara Hellkites on the battlefield. That is absolutely insane, and a dream scenario I hope to pull off one day. We do also have some pricier picks like Ancient Copper Dragon and Ancient Silver Dragon. Ancient Copper Dragon could get you 1 to 20 treasure tokens on the battlefield. Ancient Silver Dragon could get you 1 to 20 card draws. And since Sarkhan could be a copy of them, it could be extra value on top of that. With that being said, I want to thank you guys so much for coming by and watching this video on this new version of Sarkhan Soul of Flame. It is pretty cool to see that he is a legendary creature instead of a planeswalker. Again, he is one of my favorite characters from a lore perspective. Again, I really hope that we do go to Tarkir. I barely missed it because I got into Magic the Gathering when the Eldrazi storyline was going on. Anyways, let me know down below in the comments, what do you think of this new version of Sarkhan? Is there any other new planeswalkers that turned into legendary creatures that you would like to see in the deck tech? Let me know down below in the comments. Make sure to also hit that like button as that supports the channel. And with that out of the way, thank you for stomping by.